Hey, welcome back. We got another fun episode this week using the CNC again. But before we get started, I'm Anton and this is Southwest Chili. Cheers. This week we're making geometric wall decor. See if we can get that there for you. The video is about New Mexico, but of course we made Arizona and Texas. But these geometric pieces, they're super fun. Easy to make, not very difficult. They do take a little bit more on the design, but we'll go through that as you know, because every video, just a reminder, we have the design, what we're gonna do. We go out and we actually build in the shop. And then lastly, I share with you the numbers. And after the video, my goal is to make sure that you have all that you need to go out and make this project yourself with the information that you just watched. Let's say you don't want to necessarily go through the design process yourself. Link in my description to my website where you can buy the digital file with the Illustrator file that's already ready, PDF, SVG, DXF. We also make a small number of finished products that we'll sell on the website as well. But sit back, relax, or grab your laptop and let's get to work. But let's start designing. Cheers. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let's get designing the Geo New Mexico. First thing I want to do, I got Illustrator open up here. So I want to open up a new file, print, call this GeoNM. Let's GeoNM. I want my caps. Okay, set it to inches. And now right now I'm just gonna set my artboard to 20 by 20. I didn't do that. 20 by 11. Let's change that real quick to 20 by 20. Okay, cool. Now, I know I have to change this a little bit because, again, I want my artboard to be the same size as my wood that I'm going to put in my CNC so that I can cut out. I'm starting with a full sheet of plywood, which is 4 feet by 8 feet. Now, if I cut that plywood in half, that becomes 4 foot by 4 foot. If I cut that in half, it becomes 4 foot by 2 foot. And if I cut that in half, it's finally 2 foot by 2 foot. So I actually want my artboard to be 24 inches by 24 inches. Perfect. We're going to borrow some artwork from our New Mexico tray project. I'm going to grab the shape of the state of New Mexico, just drop it in there. And I want this to actually be pretty big. Whoa. Make sure my aspect ratio is locked. Set that equal to 20 inches. Looks good. So this Geo New Mexico is going to have a frame around it, and it's going to have lines, running through it. So it's going to have a frame, which is the shape of the state, and all these fun geometric funky lines, right? I want the frame width to be the same width as each of those lines inside. And so I'm going to set that to 2 times the thickness of my router bit. So I know my router bit is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to take this path, offset it, minus 0.5. Perfect. That's the one that we just offset. The outside is the original one. And so what we'll do here is I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to minus front. Perfect. So that represents the frame of our Geo New Mexico in this case. Next thing I want to do is draw some, I call them just little just rectangles basically. I don't care how long they are, but I do want that width to again be the 0.5, which is that 2 times the width of my drill bit, right? And it's the same size as the frame. So we're going to put this rectangle, select that rectangle, make sure that it has a width of 0.5, and again, the height, I'm not so concerned with. Now, the only thing I need to make sure of on the height is that it's long enough to go past the outside on both edges of the frame of the shape. I call this my parking lot. So I'm going to keep this in my parking lot, and then I'm going to drag, I'm holding the Alt button, I'm just dragging some pieces in place. And this is the fun part. So now I'm just gonna, without changing the width, I'm just gonna wait till my little mouse icon changes to rotate. And I'm just gonna come and rotate some of these pieces. There's no rhyme or reason to this. Just have some fun. Just rotate them to your liking. And again, I want to make sure, here's a good example. I want to make sure that this area goes past. I'm just going to slide it because I got some room on the other side there. Rotate in both directions, rotate in all directions. So just rotate this. Let's go this way too. I don't want it to look too griddish. And what I want to try and avoid is like small little pinholes like this. Because my router bit's too big to actually fit into that and cut that out. So I either want to do one of two things. Make sure that it's completely covered. Or make sure that it's big enough so that my bit can actually go in there. Okay, that looks good. Move that. Let's get this into place here. And I'm not using the rotate command. I'm just kind of free balling. See here, up there. Let's get another one down here. I don't want it to look too much like a grid though. I'm gonna try and avoid a grid if I can. Sometimes I will get up, put the rotate command because I'm close. Sometimes a little easier. And I'm okay if there's an intersection of them like that. That looks fine to me. I kind of like the way that looks. Might actually bring it down a little. Need some more in here, so I'm just holding my Alt button again. Let's rotate this. Press the R command. Bring it that way. Select this one. Rotate command again. Maybe like that. Sure. Bring this one up a little. See, it's a little too gridded. It looks too much like a grid to me. I'm not going to rotate. When you press the rotate command, I'm just pressing the hotkey for that. It automatically puts the rotation point about the middle. But let's say I want it right here. Just click there. I'm going to rotate it. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. I think one of these has to rotate the other way. Now I gotta move everything a little bit. Let's put that there. That's there. Slide that over. Rotate. So let's say, for instance, I really wanted it here. Well, just put it there. There. So you got that pinhole I'm trying to avoid, or I'll just cover. Just do that for now. I need another vertical. Okay. I'm not crazy about that yet. Why not? Make this one down a little bit. Maybe that's a little too much. Oh yeah, it's starting to shape up a little bit better. Bring that maybe over here. Rotate that a little. Maybe less. Cool. This, I want to bring this down a little. Isolated it. Rotate that a little up. Yeah, I like that. Maybe we'll do a small one. I'll grab a new one. Oops. Grab a new one over here. Just do a small one. The rotate command. Switch it back to there somewhere. It's kind of cool. I think I want like a little bigger holes. Just kind of widening everything out. And I'll show you how we trim everything up here in just a little bit, but I kind of want to just, that's why having it the same color is helpful. Because you can kind of start to visualize what it's going to look like. Maybe I don't need this one. Yeah, I think I needed a, felt like less is more kind of a little bit in that situation there. Just gotta rotate this a little bit maybe. Again, there's no right or wrong way. You won't make yours look exactly like mine unless you buy the digital file, but just have some fun with it. We're trying to just fill those gaps, trying to see where exactly. Just trying to not even space them out so much so evenly, just make it look like a kind of fun, funky piece. Might want to add one more in here somewhere. Looks a little too wide for some reason. The gaps. So what if we do that and then we throw another piece? I'm just going to grab this one, holding my Alt. Oh yeah, that's what I needed. There we go. Yeah, I think that's cool. So what I do next, I need to trim off all the edges. And the easiest way for me to do that is to select everything. And then I want to select, let me see if I can move this. Put this over here. I want to select the outline button right here. So when I select outline, it cuts everything that overlaps and creates its own piece. It's all grouped together, so I'm going to ungroup it. And then I'm just going to come in here and select everything. Hit delete. Select everything. Delete. Delete. I'll show you, for instance, let's say you selected that and by mistake you selected that. That would happen. So we obviously know that we don't want to select any part of the frame to come off. So we want to, of course, put that back. Delete that. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure that they go out far enough. When you use that outline tool, what happens is it creates paths that have no stroke or no fill. And so I create a rectangle here and I set the stroke and the fill to nothing. So there's a path that exists there. There it is, but no stroke or no fill. I'll select that object, select same fill and stroke color, and see it selected something else that had no fill or no stroke, but there is a path there. And I want to make sure to remove that just so that I have a really clean working file. So now I had press delete, so I have no path that is not colored. So now everything that we have selected is shown here. And then lastly, I'm going to click unite to just make it all one piece. So now we have one piece. That's our New Mexico. We would do the same thing with Arizona, same thing with Texas, any other state you might be making. And just have some fun with it. It is a little difficult to come back in and adjust the lines at this point because we already united it. So sometimes what I might do is I'm pressing undo. Before I divide, when it's still an individual piece, I'll select everything, shift it all over, press Alt and make a copy so that I can work with this file. Again, go through here, divide, ungroup, select everything, delete, 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 and delete, and then unite. Oops. See, so I pressed unite there, and it united one of those pieces that had no fill or no stroke. What I forgot to do is create my little cheater rectangle with no fill, and then say select same fill and stroke, delete. Now when I unite them, work perfectly. I like doing this because if I'm like, oof, I really want to adjust this line, I can't do it here, but at least I have my working copy still here on the right hand side. But for us, I like that. Looks good. I'm just going to leave it like that. The next thing we want to do is check for pinholes. And pinholes are just little areas where the lines overlapped and it created like a little hole. And so we don't want to have any of those. I don't see that we have any, so we want to check these intersection points. And we would see white poking through if we did. Doesn't look like we do. An example of a pinhole would be if I had a rectangle that was like that. That's what I'm calling a pinhole right there. But in this case, we don't have any. The way that we would solve that, let's say for instance, we had a piece of white. This isn't going to be a pinhole, this is just a rectangle, but I'm there. Oh, here, I'll make it a pinhole. Oops. Okay, I can't really make it a pinhole, so it's a... Okay, cool. Now we have a pinhole. Where those pieces overlapped, you can see that there's just this white little hole that's peeking through. The way that I check for them is, let me center everything again. I select my object and then I set a stroke to it. Any color, doesn't matter. You want to make it kind of thick. And so what happens is as you're coming around your item, again, we don't care about things like that, but we should not see red in the middle of that intersection. So that tells me there's a pinhole there. So I don't see any more. The way that we would solve that, I'm going to turn the stroke off again. The way that we solve that is I get a rectangle. I zoom into my little pinhole. Oops. Still have a stroke set on all this. Let me turn the stroke off. Sorry. Okay. Get my rectangle tool. And I just come and I draw a rectangle right there. And then I select everything and I unite it. And now if we wanted to check one more time real quick. Red. See, we got rid of that pinhole that was right there. We added just a piece of... We added a path on top of the existing one. So we merged them together. So that's good. So that piece is ready to send to our CNC program. I like the way that looks. Everything looks good. It is 20 by what's going to be 22. I have 24. No problem. So we're going to go File, Save As. Let's see. Episode 2 is Strays. We'll call that Geo New Mexico. I'm going to save this as an SVG. Use my artboard. I didn't save it yet. I remembered something that we had to do, which is outline my rectangle or outline my artboard. So right before I save, I'm going to come in here. I always forget to do this. Add a rectangle that is the size of my artboard. I didn't snap correctly. So it should be 24 by 24. Center. And then I just don't want to fill. It's okay that there's a stroke on it. Now that's something that I will then save. Episode 2, SVG, save. Did I say use artboard? I think I did. File, save as, use artboard, SVG. Cool. Now let's open up our Carbide Create. Sorry, I'm jumping again. My computer's a little slow. Create. Now the plywood that we're using for this plywood is 1/2 inch sanded. I think it's sanded maple. So we're gonna want to do 1/2 inch. Yeah, we got to set up our setup. It's a 24 by 24 inch stock size, material size. Thickness, 1/2 inch. It's hardwood. Looks all good. Perfect. Big old piece. Now we're gonna import. We are going to go to Geo New Mexico's SVG. Just use that one because I think that was the artboard. Perfect. We're gonna delete our little rectangle around the outside, but that's exactly what we expect it to look. Now, setting up these tool paths does take a little bit of time because you do have to set up each one individually. But let's get to it real quick. I'm going to start with the outside because that is all one tool path. So I'm going to say that's going to be my contour tool path. And we are going to change to Ryan's Cut Knit Close Golden Girl. Use stock top. I want to cut all the way through, so use stock bottom. And I need to be outside. And we talked about why that is, but we want a final cut equal to 20 inches wide. So it looks good there. My tabs, because we are going to put tabs, 0.25 by 0.125. And I call this one contour. Cool. Looks good. And now, I guess it doesn't take that long. We got to make sure that we select all of them. So we're going to select, how about we drag and select? There we go. Select all of those. Oh yeah, totally easy. I thought I was going to have to do each one individually. So select all of those, and we're going to contour those out too, because these aren't pockets. These are actually pieces that we're cutting out. So we're going to say use current selection. Golden Girl, we want to cut all the way through, which is use stock top. Now on this side, we want to go to the inside because we want what we designed to be the final size. So we want to say inside so that it cuts to the red line, which is good. Now these we should have tabs on as well. So we want to say 0.25 and by 0.125. We don't want that material to start to move and risk ruining our router bit or spindle bit. Some of these won't need it. Like I think my router bit can cut that. I should have measured that. It's a little small for my big 1/4 inch bit. The other ones are okay, but that one might be a little small. It might just look like a little hole, and that might just look like a little hole, but we'll check it out. And the other ones aren't going to have any problems, but this will take a little bit of time to cut out each little piece, but that's okay. So we're going to call this 2.0, and this is contour. Yep, looks good. Looks good. See, 17 minutes to cut out all those, 4 minutes to cut out the outside. Now what we have to do is go to our design and select the ones that we want tabs on. So I'm going to select tab, and I'm kind of just going to start putting tabs on pieces because I know that I want them on these big ones for sure. So I'm just going to quickly select kind of like the longest side is what I'm doing here. I'm not so concerned with the tab on that one. I think my router bit's gonna consume the whole piece. There. I try to put in them. I'm gonna get rid of that one. I like to put them on opposite sides of each other. Like I don't want a tab there and a tab there. I don't think it matters much, but it's just my practice. One there. Router drill bit's gonna eat all that. I think the drill bit's gonna eat all that. There. Put one maybe. I'll leave those two together. So that has them that. I'm not concerned about that one or that one. And what I mean by that is that that piece is so small that when the router bit travels the path it's supposed to, there's not going to be a piece to take out. It'll have been disintegrated by the whole drill bit already. Now, the better practice is to probably put 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 tabs on some of these bigger pieces especially. Just because I think I, really don't want to run the risk of them damaging my spindle or my drill bit in any way. I think on some of the smaller pieces they're going to be okay to just have the one, because the tab relative to the size of the piece I think is going to be fine. But again, on some of those bigger ones I just would feel a little bit more comfortable probably having 2, maybe at least put them further apart from each other. I think that looks good. Pretty good about that. I don't. The heck. There's nothing wrong with more tabs than less tab. The only thing is that you have to clean up all these tabs. So it does take a little bit more time to, of course, clean them all up. But rather be safe than sorry. Now I'm going to select my other piece of artwork and add tabs. My other path and add tabs to that. So I'm just going to do 3. Cool. Toolpath still says 17 minutes to cut out all the interior pieces and 4 minutes to cut out all of that. We'll make note of that. So 18, 19, 20, 21, I'd probably round it to a half hour of machine time just to be safe. And then again, it's going to take a little bit more time, probably about half an hour to use my multi-tool to get all those little tabs out. But that's it for the design. I would save this, get this sent over to my Shapeoko, after I get my boards loaded in there, and then I would just be able to get this running. Again, should be finished in about 30 minutes. It's gone about 30 minutes. We should be done with this prep. We're in the shop. Got the Shapeoko loaded. It's actually running. We got a 2x2 foot sanded birch plywood in there. Seems to be running really good. This is my dust collection machine. Again, I typically have it running when I'm not filming, but for the sake of the filming, let's show you what that looks like. So right now it's paused. It's actually, the spindle's running, but it's looking pretty good so far. One tab seems to be enough. Should have just put 2 on a lot of the pieces, but I'm gonna keep a close eye on it. I'm gonna go ahead and set this to run. All right, we got it all cut out. Let's see here. Looks pretty good. So some of those pieces there that are missing, because my tabs broke on me, I probably should have made them a little thicker. So you could still see some of them probably in there a little bit. But otherwise pretty good. This piece it is going to require some more hand sanding and then staining. I'd probably do a dip stain, but otherwise looks pretty good. All right, on to my favorite part, the numbers. Let's share what those look like. All right, we are in the numbers here. Let's take a look. The first thing I want to do is just duplicate this sheet, get a new one out here, and we'll call it Caps Geo New Mexico. Let's go ahead and hide this sheet. Good. In here, should say Geo New Mexico. Perfect. Oh, excuse me. All right, so product size. We know that the length does vary. The width of it we set to a 20-inch width, and the thickness is a 1/2 inch thick. This is the design size. The length varies because I'm holding. There's an eye in there. Cool. We are using a sanded maple plywood for this project. And that size is actually a 1/2 inch by 4 foot by 8 foot maple plywood. Oops. Gotta be consistent here. Maple plywood. And from that, I could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because it kind of does represent 1/8 of the board. So 8 pieces from that. Cool. So number of pieces, then we just calculated 8. And remember, the yellow just stands for a field that I'm inputting into the calculator. It's not, or into the Excel or Google Sheet. It's not a calculated field. It's just something that's user input. So we'll keep that yellow. My machine runtime, we saw that was 21 minutes. It's good around that to just half an hour. And then worked hours, again, if you're staining this by hand, not using a dip tank, which I might recommend you do, it probably would take closer to half an hour for sure. If you do a sanding and a dip tank, it's probably a little less, but let's go ahead and just assume half an hour anyway. Okay, we got those squared away. Material. So this is assuming this $28.48 price for our 1/2 inch by 4 by 8 maple. Now that's not correct. I wanted just to show you this is actually the price of the sanded maple plywood that we're going to use. So $61.38 is the cost of that sheet. So we'll pop that in right there. $7.67 per piece. Okay. Again, not really calculating a shipping box, but on this project, I'm going to actually, let's put that in there. Research. Because I want to take a minute just to look at Uline real quick, and let's look at some of those numbers. So we're going to research the price now. My utilities based off of my machine runtime. We talked about this in a different video, and I'll link it down here. But my utilities is basically how much energy it's cost to use per minute. So 20 cents per minute times my half hour. And so therefore we have 11 cents. Oh, I'm sorry. That was per hour. And so we're just at about 11 cents for utility cost. My equipment, again, I'm running it for half an hour, so I'm getting $3 charged to there. My wage, which is how much I get to make each piece, again, taken from my typical cost of $15 an hour and taking me 0.5 hours or 30 minutes. So that's where the $7.50 comes from. And then supplies, lastly, is just taking all of those numbers and then multiplying it by 10% so that we get just an average cost that we can associate with the supplies that we're using. It's $1.83. So my all-in price for this product is $20.11. Not bad. Now, how much would it sell for? Well, before we get to the sell price, let's go to Uline real quick and take a look at that. So Uline. All right, let's look at boxes. So many different options, but for the most part, we know that we need at least a 20-inch wide by a little over 20. And this is where, I designed it at a 20 by 20, but 20 by whatever it is. But if there was a box size that I just really wanted to use, I'd probably scale it to fit that box size, just because it does make more sense to just do it like that versus getting a bigger box just to make this design work. I can easily just scale this product down a little bit. So keep that in mind as we're looking at it. But if I look at the box sizes, yeah, it really is, let's say, 4 inches, 10 inches, 20 by 12, 20 by 13. Again, really quickly, there's a 20 by 20 by 2. Ooh, I like that one. See, so at a 20 by 20 by 2, what I might do is use this box. 20 by 20 by 3, yeah. Use this box, but I'd fix the height to be 20 inches. So when we were in Illustrator, instead of having my width of my shape defined at 20 inches and then letting the height float, I'd probably say set the height to 20 inches and let the width float, which means it'd probably be a little bit more narrow. But I really like that 20 by 20 by 2 because it's a nice thin box. It's going to be, there's a cost to ship, which again, usually a customer covers that cost, but it's only $3.16. So let's assume that cost in there. Let's say, and again, I do know that this $3.16 only reflects the price of the box. It does not reflect how much that box actually costs to get to me. So the shipping of that box to me is going to increase that price. So even if I gave it another $1, $4.16 for a, 20 by 20 by 2 inch Uline. And what I like to do typically is grab that SKU for model number. Just right there. Whoa. On this, all right, yeah. And throw that in there. Oops. Just so that I can remember exactly which one it is. Yeah, I'd really like that box. Ships today. Of course, if we were gonna really make these, we could take advantage of a bulk pricing, but I think assuming $4.16 probably safe bet. So $4.16 takes our price up to $24.69. Now something like this, like right off the bat, I think I'd feel comfortable at about $65. Like that feels like a good price. $65 doesn't sound too expensive, but you're also getting like a pretty big piece that's going to go on your wall. Good quality. It's 1/2 inch thick, so it's not super flimsy. It'll be finished nice with some stain. So yeah, I think I have a $65 price. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So $65. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Profit 65 minus the 24. We're at 40.31. I'll make this yellow so that we know. You get it. $40.31 profit and a profit margin of 62%. If you thought 60, 65 was a little high, go down to 50 and you're still making $25. And keep in mind, this profit is $25 profit, and each one you're paying yourself $7.50 for. So you're getting a $7.50 paycheck for doing your work, plus your company is making $25.31. So again, I do think that the $65, because we want to value the time and energy and everything that we're doing. So I think that that's a fair cost. I clicked over to suppliers real quick because this is a 5% markup. It's actually a 10% markup on that total cost there. So yeah, $65 sounds about fair for that piece because it's a good piece that'll last. It's nice quality. It's nice sanded maple plywood, stained really nicely. 62% profit margin. I mean, you can't beat that. That number sounds good. I think it's a good project. It's one of my favorite projects. And you'll see throughout this little spoiler that we're actually going to use this design on different products that we make because it's a cute little design. Let's just repurpose it, right? Well, what'd you think? Not too bad, huh? Fun little project. I just, I love the way these turn out. They're super fun. And I know that I say this in all my videos, but I think these are just a good take on a clean, modern design that still has some Southwest feel and make great gifts. They sell really well. I've used this design on other items before, and it's just a huge staple for me. So you have what it takes. If you're thinking about buying a CNC or you already have a CNC, let this be something that just allows you to have another project in the bank waiting for you to make. Again, link in my description. If you don't really feel like designing this yourself, go buy the digital file for $5. Pick the state you want. Buy all 3 of them, whatever your choice is, but you have it ready to go so that you can go print these. Go buy a piece of plywood, get some stain. I think they actually look really good painted also. I didn't talk about that much, but I have a couple of these that I've painted. I think they look great. Super fun project. So yeah, let's get you guys going. And as always, I appreciate you. Please subscribe to my channel, like my video, and we will see you next week. Cheers.